Good, beautiful morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, September the 14th, 2022. I want to welcome you to the Wednesday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul, where I have the energy of Master Saint Germain present with me to be discussing the concept of how to awaken your soul. And I'm excited about that. We'll give everybody a chance to come on. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Yeah. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And we are at a most incredible time in human consciousness, individually and globally, as individuals and as a collective. You can't separate yourself from everybody else. But awakening your soul is a very important thing to understand. Do you have a soul? What is a soul? And Master Saint Germain is going to break that all down for us in a couple of moments. I want to say good morning. Hello, Pamela. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Marigold. Hello, Jody. Hello, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We're streaming live to all of you today to discuss the process of how to awaken your soul. Mystics and religious people and scientists and philosophers have been arguing about the conception and the existence of the human soul for literally thousands of years. And it's been very difficult for anybody to agree on what a soul is and how it functions. And yet there's a great simplicity in understanding what you are as a soul for yourself, not because of what anybody else says or doesn't say, what somebody else does or doesn't believe, but from your own direct and immediate experience. And hi, hello, Alicia. Good to see you there. Hello, Elena. Hi, Kira. Wonderful. So the process, he said to me this morning, he said it's really important that it is kept as simple as possibly possible, to keep the idea of how to awaken your soul as simple as possible. He says there are three very distinct and unique aspects to the human personality that are separate and distinct from the soul. And those three faculties are really obvious and plain for anybody to observe and see. That first faculty is your body. Your body is the first faculty of your personality that you inhabit, that you can utilize this physical structure as a function of your will. It is the first faculty that you utilize in this dimension of the physical world. The secondary aspect of your personality is your mind or your thoughts, the collection of information and ideas that you have stored in your brain, your physical brain, through the medium of the five physical senses. That is all of the information and experience that you have gathered from this physical dimension. The words, the language, the things that you've acquired from this world, the learnings, the teachings from this physical world are stored as thoughts or information in the neurological structure of your brain and stored there. That is the second faculty of your personality. The third faculty of your personality is the substance that you use to animate your personality with, and that is called emotion, which is the very source energy of life that moves through all things. It is the substance that causes your body, your face, your entire physical reality to function as an expression. That is, everything that you say and everything that you do through that body is activated by the quality of the emotions that thoughts and biology structure. For your thoughts and your body will allow emotion to flow through them in very precise and specific ways. Now, what does this have to do with awakening your soul? If you understand what has been said thus far, then you realize the body is an instrument that you use. You can use it. That your thoughts are information you've acquired from the world. and that your emotions are the energy that you put through your mind and body to generate actions in the form of creation, acts, words, deeds, creations, building. Emotion energizes matter into action. Emotion is the fifth state of energy and coordinates all other forms of energy below it. Now, your soul is this awareness. We want to keep it as simple as possible. No psychobabble, not all these different terms of ego and id and super ego and super this and that. That's nonsense. Keep it simple. You are an awareness. And the simple way to validate that you are an awareness that is independent of your thoughts is that you can be aware of your thoughts. And the very nature that you are aware of your thoughts indicates that you are independent of them. You can observe them. You can observe memory. You can consider future possibilities. As awareness, this is the beginning of awakening your soul, where you start to become aware that you are aware of thoughts, you are aware of emotions, and you are aware of your biology, and you are able to coordinate thoughts, energy, and body into very precise and concise actions from the perspective of being awareness. In this state of awareness, you can be independent of your thoughts. You can be independent of your thoughts by the mere nature of being aware of them. Simply being aware of your thoughts places you into a position where you are not subjective or bound in the structure of the personality. You are awareness. And in that position of consciousness where you are aware of thought, you begin to awaken yourself from subjectivity to the personality that has been constructed for you and by the world under a name designation, which is the name you have been given to that body that you currently inhabit. That name designation is the heading under which the structure of your personality operates. And you, as awareness, have the capacity to awaken enough to begin to assert authority, direction over thought, memory, emotion, and therefore the physical organism, which always follows the qualities of emotion that are held in the attention of your awareness. That is, any emotion or thought that you hold your awareness to, that is, you place your awareness to it, those thoughts become potentially functional through your physical body. This is the beginning of the awakening of your soul, where you begin to distinguish your awareness as that entity which is independent of the personality construct that you're currently existing in. Now, in the last 20 years, the awareness of the human soul has been gradually becoming more of a universal phenomena to the collective unconsciousness of humanity. In other words, all of you know that there is something more to your lives than what you are experiencing merely as physical bodies, as a collage of thoughts and the corresponding emotions that are bound by those thoughts working through your physiology. In this place of awareness, where you can begin to rest in awareness, independent of your thought, you can observe your thought. You can observe memory. You can observe your mind trying to make up future possibilities. And in that place of observation, the function of your soul begins to fall under your independent domain. In other words, you begin to pull yourself out of the subjectivity of your personality. And those that constructed your personality, they know full well, these individuals, that they can manipulate, orchestrate, and control the nature and quality of your thoughts and emotions, so long as you are unable to differentiate yourself from them. And so being able to differentiate yourself from the thoughts and emotions that you have acquired in your mind, the thoughts and emotions that are bombarding you from the environment. To that degree, you can begin to become self-aware or awakened. You begin to awaken independent of the personality. From this position of awakening your soul, you can begin to then assert a deliberate and precise influence over the content of the mind that has been given to you by the world. You can begin to restructure your personalized reality, that personality that you have. You can begin to evaluate the thoughts that are there. Do they serve you or do they not serve you? And the emotions that those thoughts generate, do they serve you or do they not serve you? And the nature and quality of those emotions that you change when you alter or affect the quality of thought that is in your mind will also alter and change the way in which you manifest physical expressions, which will alter and change the conditions in your environment. For every human condition is a product of the sum total of thoughts and emotions as they work through the physical medium of your body. Now, as awareness, as the soul that is aware of thought, able to restructure and change thought, you move into a position of being very similar to what you call a master, where you begin to then assert thoughts and ideas, insert thoughts and ideas into the structure of your own personality so as to produce, alter, and change the conditions of your existing life by learning to alter thought, memory, and energy. The awakening of your soul begins at this point of awareness where you recognize I am aware of thoughts, and that point of I am aware of thoughts, I am aware of these emotions, I am aware of these bodies. At that place where you are saying I am observing these thoughts, you are awakening your soul. And that component of your consciousness, the soul, has a universality to it in that it can function as both an individual and as a simultaneous whole. That is, you can unite consciously with all other things from the perspective of your soul. Whereas in the structure of your personality, you will find yourself experiencing yourself as separate from everything else. And there is nothing good nor bad nor right nor wrong about that. That is just simply a function of the nature of this physical dimension, that when you come into it, you identify with thoughts, you become an individual. And you can become any kind of individual you choose to according to the nature of the thoughts you possess in your mind, both at the field of consciousness or the field of unconsciousness. For each contains its own layerings of thought, both of which you are able to alter and affect from the perspective of being awareness, that you are awareness being aware. And in that place, you begin to move back to your original position in consciousness prior to incarnating into that physical organism you find yourself living individually through. Now, what are the advantages to awakening your soul? You can remove from your mind thoughts and emotions that perpetuate suffering. You can remove from your mind thoughts and ideas that perpetuate isolation and loneliness. From the perspective of your soul being awake, of you being awake, you can insert thoughts and ideas into your mind that elevate, inspire, uplift, and empower you to function very differently and experience this material world very differently than what your existing personality may allow you, as most of you, the personality that you have at least, is made up by the world. Most of you didn't even make up your own personalities. And yet here now you have this opportunity in becoming aware and awake, where you can begin to build your personality anew, or as some of your mentors and masters have said, you can tear the temple down and rebuild it. You can tear it down, the old ideas, the old thoughts, you can tear them down and rebuild them as a function of your conscious independent will, that independent will which is separate and distinct from the personality that you've been conditioned to think you're supposed to be. The thoughts and ideas that you find in your mind, if you examine them carefully and you question, where did these thoughts come from? Where did these ideas come from? You will find, most of you, that close to 95% of the thoughts in your mind are not even actually yours once you begin to observe them and question, where did this thought come from? Oh, I got that from my teacher. I got that from my parent. I got that from that TV show. Oh, I got that from a book. And you begin to discover how little you've really become yourself in this physical dimension. And yet you open up now to the possibility of fully actualizing and manifesting the expression of your individuality in a way that's divined and defined by your awareness and not by the way the world has made you up to be. And in that process, true freedom begins to be cultivated as an expression of your soul and not a function of your personality, which some of your sciences call ego or id or whatever they wish to call it. It does not matter what they call it. What matters is you are aware that you are aware, that you are aware you have thoughts that are not yours, that you can alter and change, that you're aware that you can alter and change the emotional qualities that flow through that body by altering and changing the quality of the thoughts that are resident in your mind. You can amplify a thought, you can de-amplify a thought. There is nothing that you cannot change in the structure of your personality when your soul awakens, when you awaken to the understanding that you are not the collection of thoughts in your mind. You are not simply the personality name designation that has been given to you. You are not simply a physical organism that moves and breathes in this dimension. You are the orchestrator, the operator of that system. And as you become more aware and conscious of that reality for yourself, you can begin to break free of the old personality model that you've been struggling with and begin to regenerate, reestablish, recreate, manifest a brand new personality that you can express through that physical body. In your conventional sciences, such as hypnotherapy, you can readily see demonstrations where a personality in one body can be substituted for another. That is because they are able to put that individual awareness aside, and the operator or the individual giving suggestion can generate that personality to function differently through the law of suggestion, which has been around for many tens of thousands of years. It's just that some of you understand the law of suggestion and most of you do not. If you understand the law of suggestion, then you will become very mindful of what you will listen to. You'll become very mindful of what thoughts you will allow to occupy a space in the system of your personality, for these will restructure the emotional energy that you bring through as awareness into the physical body. Your awareness, your soul, has a direct connection to limitless energy throughout all points of time and space and across all timelines. You have a connection as awareness to all possible timelines of creation. And from this perspective, you can bring into this physical dimension, into this mind, into that body in which you find yourself hearing these words. You can bring new ideas, new information, new thoughts. Where do you think they all come from? Where do you think all of your new human creations come from? They do not come from this dimension. They come from the one that causes this dimension. This dimension is but an effect of a cause. As your thoughts are causative to your biology, so too your awareness is causative to your mind. If you understand that this sequence of creation is universal in conscious organisms, and it functions unconsciously in those that are not aware. But my simple reason for coming through this one today was to simply give you the opportunity to understand the simple fundamentals about awakening yourself from being subjective to the personality that's been constructed for you by your environment, by your leaders, by your books, by your TVs, to remind you that you are not simply the personality that's been constructed for you by this world, but you are this entity of awareness or consciousness that can cultivate a level of authority, bring forth and bring into your life a level of information and wisdom to alter and change the conditions of your world in very simple and profound ways. Let me complete this dissertation with this simple idea. You are awareness. The moment you become aware that you are aware of thoughts, you begin to awaken your soul. The moment you are aware of emotions, no matter how difficult those emotions might be, in the position of awareness, you can say, I'm aware that there's these emotions that are called pain or joy or sorrow or depression. You can become aware. And that point of awareness is the only point where you can begin to affect change in the emotional constructs that have been generated from the thoughts you've acquired from this environment. In other words, the emotions most of you are feeling are products of the thoughts, ideas, and information that others have given you. For there is not one of you in truth that would ever choose a thought of suffering or a thought of pain or a thought of sadness. None of you would choose that. And your approach to situations that you would call sad or uncomfortable would be very different from the perspective of your soul observing what is occurring. You have this silly illusion of death, which is simply the transmutation of physical energy into another realm of expression. Your soul, the consciousness that you are, does not cease to exist with the ending of the physical medium, nor the structure of that personality that goes with it. You, as awareness, can still exist beyond the form, but you would not exist as the personality that you currently know, because the personality that you exist in right now, is a construction of this world, mostly made up by those around you. So it is ever changing according to the information placed into it by the environment. You yourself are not that information, but you function through it. And so many of you find yourself believing, this is who I am. I'm this personality. I'm these thoughts. I'm these emotions. But nothing can be further from the truth. You use those thoughts. You use those emotions. You use that physical organism as vehicles to manifest your consciousness through. But if you are not aware that you are the consciousness manifesting yourself through the mechanism, then you may mislead yourself into believing that the thoughts, emotions, and memories you've acquired from this physical dimension constitute the whole of yourself. And this would be a grave error and cause unnecessary delay in your experience of this physical dimension. You have a wonderful teaching on this planet that says delay is meaningless in eternity, but tragic in time. And there's a profound and simple truth to that I will not go into at this time. But suffice to say, if you have understood and heard what has been said, you can begin a process of true self-awakening, awakening your soul, that you are awareness, aware of the construct of mind. You are awareness, aware of the thoughts that are there. You are aware that the body functions in conjunction with those thoughts and the emotional energies that those thoughts will structure. Thoughts organize emotion into functional behaviors. Most of those thoughts generated by the world around you are not even generating pleasing emotions for you. So learning, therefore, to awaken yourself to the idea that you can say, I am a divine entity, capable of creating and generating thoughts of joy, excitement, playfulness, curiosity, wonder. In understanding that awareness, you can begin to change and alter the electromagnetic energy, which is emotion flowing through your physical entity. You may become the authority as the awakened one. You may become the authority over your thoughts, the authority over the emotions, therefore, that move through that body, and therefore the expressions in this world. And what you will create with your physical body is wholly determined by the nature and quality of the thoughts and the emotions that those thoughts generate through that physical mechanism. You are a divine soul, an awareness, both an individual and a unified field. You may be the whole or you may be the part, but from either position, you can affect both. If you understand what has been said today, then you are blessed, and you will understand, and you will awaken to yourself, and you begin to examine just how many of the thoughts that are in your consciousness are really yours. Where do most of the emotions you come from? They come from certain qualities of thoughts and ideas. And where do those thoughts and ideas come from? Learn to, from the perspective of being awake and aware, recognizing you are not your thoughts. You are not the emotions. You are not the memories. That's simply information you've acquired through the 5 physical senses of this physical dimension. Information which is always amenable to your capacity to induce deliberate and intentional changes upon it. I wish you much love and gratitude. I will take a few questions before we go. Wow. Thank you, Master Saint Germain. Guys, thank you for joining us today. It's an amazing time. We are at an amazing time of ascension. It's what they're all telling me, all the ascended masters and the beings that I work with, and many other humans in this dimension are aware there's this process of ascension, where we're moving from being subjective to matter, time, and space to being proactively creative with it, utilizing it for the function of creation. Well, good morning. Good morning. Hello, Diane. Hello, Judy. Hello from Germany. Hi, Lauren. Question from question from Diane. Can I have a personal message from my guide or guardian angel? Diane, come and join us on Friday. On Friday, we're doing personal Q&As on Friday. And so all of Friday on Shortcuts for Your Soul is going to be Q&A for all of you guys. Well, I'll channel your guides, your angels on that day. But Mondays and Wednesdays, we're going to use specifically for this process of ascension. They told me the goal of all of this work is to awaken humanity to its ascension, to its consciousness as awareness, independent of mind, body, and matter, but functioning through it. And that through this process of awakening, they say, we can alter and change the conditions on this planet in unimaginable ways based on what we already know from the perspective of awakening our soul. So please come and join us on Friday for that. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your question, though. A question from Elena. Why does it happen that when I set out to work on a project, something comes in and takes some of that time? Example, I wake up at 4 a.m. to work, and this morning my son wakes up at 4 a.m. with me. You must understand from the perspective of awareness, you and your son are not separate. In fact, from the perspective of awareness, you are not separate from anyone. So when you awaken in that state, those that are in alignment with that energy of awakening will join you. If you speak to that awareness, if you speak to him before you wish him to sleep in for an hour longer because you want to get some work done, you must communicate that energy to that one. You must understand that children in various ages may not be aware of their independence, their individuality, and so can function simply subjectively according to the nature, quality, and the energy of the environment. So we would encourage you to simply have a communication energetically with your son that he can sleep till 5 a.m. while you get up and do the work you want to do. But make certain that it is a time that is beneficial to both of you, for his soul may need to be with you to learn what his soul is here to do in this physical dimension. He may need to do with you what you are doing to become what he needs to become in this dimension. Yes, I get a confirmation on that too. Thank you, Joella. I really appreciate that. Yes, question from Lauren to Master Saint Germain. Do you come when we call upon the divine violet fire? He says, yes, he does. The divine violet fire is the language for it. But when you invoke that color and that those chants and meditations and mantras that go with that violet fire, there's a frequency, and it's the frequency that you tune into with that sequence of words and information, because words and ideas generate electrical charges in the form of energy, and those energies are a frequency. Yes, he's saying, so anytime you invoke that energy, you're tuning into a frequency. He's telling me to tell you, be mindful of the sensation of feeling that you are generating with that invocation, and be mindful, for you will feel my energy is in alignment with that. Yeah, okay. He's saying it's like tuning a radio or a television to a different station. When you use different words or different language, you actually adjust the frequency working through your mind and body. That's really cool. Thank you for asking that question, Lauren. Question from Judy. Judy's asking a really good question. Why have I based all of my decisions from a place of fear all my life? Can he help? He's saying you must understand that the fear that you base your decisions from is not yours. There are different elements of what contributes to emotional qualities that you embody. But first and foremost, you must understand that your physical body in and of itself has an independent set of functions to it based in what your conventional science calls fight or flight. The body has very specific ways in which it deals with conditions of the environment independent of your awareness. And this function of biology must be brought under your direct and loving authority. That is, you must train the body to be still, to be quiet, to be open and receptive to your awareness. That is the first part of that. The secondary part of this is you must understand that many of the thoughts in your mind lay in there unevaluated. In fact, most of you have received so many thoughts from the moment of the conception of that body to the point of your first recognizing I am an individual. Prior to that, many of you received many beliefs, many ideas from the environment, which are both good and bad, that you may forget that you've got in your system that are charged with fear. And so you feel this energy, but you do not know how to change it. We encourage you to consider evaluating, getting instruction in how to alter and change the function of your thoughts deliberately and consciously. What has been said here from the perspective of awareness, you may begin to affect change over mind. If you evaluate an emotional quality, you can identify, is this emotional quality coming because my body's afraid something might happen to it? Or is this emotional quality coming because I have a thought in my mind that is generating that fear of energy? Ask that question. Is this fear coming from my body? Is this fear coming from a thought in my mind? Learn to understand the origins of the emotional energy. For most of you, the origins of emotional energy in that physical individuality can only come from one or two places. Either the thoughts in your mind that you've acquired that are both conscious and unconscious, or they can come from the automatic default settings of your biology, which is based in fight or flight. In other words, anytime your body is faced with something it does not understand or has not experienced before, it will automatically generate the vibrational energy of what you call fight or flight to preserve and protect itself from its level. But you must learn to bring it under your authority so it does not react. You can train it much like a dog or a cat so that it does not react. You have many people that have learned to do this. Those of you that have learned to jump from great heights, and those of you that have learned to dig deep into the ground, and those of you that have learned to dive under the waters. Many of you have learned to teach your body to overcome its innate automatic instinctual responses to conditions of the environment, which has been doing for many billions of years. The physical organism has survived on that principle. So it takes a little bit of practice and time to train your body to simply yield itself to your direction exclusively. Wow, great. Wow, great question. Thank you for that, Judy. Tanya is asking, any message for me? I'm feeling quite expanded lately, and the ascension symptoms are incredibly intense. Tanya, I encourage you, please join us on Friday. Friday's going to be all about Q&A for you guys, your guides, your angels, and there are beings that want to talk with you. You've got guides. Everybody's got guides and angels, ascended masters that work with them, multidimensional beings. This physical dimension is just a small spectrum of what we can perceive, and even science recognizes that their instrumentations can only perceive, like, I think it's like 3% of the light wave spectrum, and less than 10% of the sound wave spectrum. There's sounds and colors and things and dimensions our senses don't allow us to perceive, the physical senses. But your awareness, I'm told, your awareness can actually, you can move your awareness to perceive many different realms. And these guides, angels, ascended masters, call it God, whatever you want to call these energies, they're available to everybody. High energies, low energies, they're all available. Join us on Friday for Q&A and get your question answered then. We're keeping it, they told me to keep all the answers relevant to the subjects that are being discussed on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I hope you'll do that. Question from Michael Stevens. I had an intrusive thought last night that guided me in a positive direction. I wondered if it was given to me by a guide. Yes. Archangel Michael likes doing that from time to time. But you You always know if the thought's origins are based in love or fear. I'm being told to tell you this from Michael. He said, always know that if the thought's origins are based in love or fear will be determined by the outcome of that line of thought that you receive. You can receive thoughts from us. You can receive thoughts from the environment. You can receive thoughts from us or the environment. Most of the thoughts you're getting from your environment are mostly based in suffering at this stage in your evolution as a species. And if you're in alignment properly physically, you will always receive thoughts of a higher vibrational nature, those thoughts that would promote your well-being and goodness. For those of you that might have a lot of pain and suffering inside that's generated by thoughts of those nature, you might even perceive a high-level thought that would uplift you and help you as a threat. Many of you can experience a good thought as a threat because you're so used to your suffering that anything different than your suffering triggers your body's fear into believing something different is going to harm it. That is another discussion, though. But yeah, Michael really loves working with you. Be open. He says, be open to more of that. Well, thank you. Got time for 2 more questions. Question from Marjorie. How should we work with books and teachers to not fall into being subjected to their work? What is the best way to use these tools? Great question. I don't know who this is you just brought in, Marjorie, but they're really saying it's important you understand that discernment can only function effectively from the perspective of your being awake. For you as awareness can assess the energy of certain qualities of thoughts and ideas that you experience in this dimension. And likewise, as awareness, you can sense and feel the quality of information, ideas, and energies on the non-physical planes. So from that perspective, let your awareness tune into the energy. Do not let your mind and body be the interpreting apparatus all of the time, for it will only interpret information at the level of information that it possesses. So it makes it very difficult for you to discern properly. So be awake and aware to the energy of a thought or idea being offered to you. The energy of the thought or idea, if it lifts you up, is going to lift you up. If the energy or thought of that idea is going to bring you down, then it's going to bring you down. Understand that must be understood and correlated to the reasoning that your body in and of itself has its own system of response and may interpret things that would be good for it in a way that could be negative. So it's important to understand that the body has its own system of self-evolution and self-protection at the frequency that it operates at. So even a thought in your mind, your body will perceive as a potential threat or not. Every thought your body can only see or perceive from its level. So it interprets the world, including your thought, from the perspective of being actual environments to itself. So your thoughts, your mind, your memories, your emotions are considered an environment external to the body, and the body will react to memories and emotions and thoughts as if they are an external environment. So keep all of that in mind when you make a process of discernment. Do not let your body decide for you what something is. Tap into your awareness and feel the vibrational energy of a specific idea or quality that you are interested in exploring or experiencing. This will give you a greater affordability of freedom in your choosing and your creating. And you will not be dependent then on the body's instinctual systems to filter information for you. Wow. Thank you so much. Great question, Marjorie. One more time. Wow, thank you for that, Danielle. Yeah, we do. Master Saint Germain often comes into our courses and classes. There's Master Jesus and Buddha and many other ascended beings, and they offer us information and guidance that's just mind blowing. So if you want to know more about the courses and classes, you can check out my website. It's down in the banner below here. Question from Saint Diane: was Saint Germain a real person? Yes, Saint Germain actually lived physically in his last. He's saying in his last incarnation is the one that everybody refers to as his last incarnation. He's had other incarnations, but the one that he had with Madame Blavatsky, he worked with Madame Blavatsky and a few other enlightened beings, other ascended masters. They created the Royal Theosophical Society about 110 years ago, I think. he says that you must understand that the incarnation that you refer to as Saint Germain is the embodiment that he was in that expressive lifetime. His consciousness, yes, his consciousness and expression have evolved from that, but he can still bring what he's learned from that through the familiar timeline that you have reference to. But he wrote a really wonderful book called The Seventh Ray, and I encourage you to look for that book, The Seventh Ray. It's a beautiful work. I haven't read it yet, but I've actually received it. I looked for it for 20 years before I found it. I haven't read it yet, but I get information directly from them, so it's a whole different realm. And you can get information directly from them too. Remember that. You're not just a body mind separate from everything else. You're a divine entity, an awareness, a soul that has the capacity to access information beyond the scope of the five physical senses. Anyway, I want to thank Master Saint Germain for being present with us today, and I want to thank all of you for coming out. Thank you, TikTok. This is the first, I think, stable live event I've had with you guys. And Facebook, you guys too. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for joining here, for your energy, your desire to awaken yourself to your highest potential is literally going to change the world as we know it. What is happening planetarily with this ascension movement is a real event in time and space. Science does not have the full scope or range of instrumentations to measure and acquire information that's evidentiary, because they don't have the instruments to measure, for example, how a thought wave interacts with the sun or how a thought wave interacts with that. They're beginning to understand that with quantum mechanics and quantum physics. They're beginning to understand how we can affect matter with thought. But they do not understand the full scope of what you are as a soul, as a divine awareness that functions through a medium of thought and matter as a creative consciousness. Come join us on Friday. Have your questions answered. It's going to be all about you guys, Q&A. That's what this Friday will be. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys then. Also on Saturday, we've got a healing meditation with Archangel Raphael that's going to be happening at 10 a.m. on Supernatural Saturday, which is our meditation portion of our weekly program. If you want to support this channel, you go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. You can also support this channel by using, if you're on YouTube, you can use the super chat feature or the super thanks if you're watching the replay afterwards. Any support you can offer this channel would be really greatly appreciated. It helps us to make more time to do these things. And as many of you know, this is time of ascension. It's like you're waking up now. It's time for humanity to awaken from its slumber. You know, it's funny. I had Master Jesus come to me this morning. He was talking about resurrecting the dead and his functions and he said that resurrecting the dead is the process of awakening your soul. He raised people out of subjectivity to their personalities. He raised them out. He said people that are locked into just the personality they think they are dead to everything else. They're dead to the spirit. They're dead to life. Those who awaken recognize they still have an individual personality, but they are connected to this other field of consciousness and information. And so he did in a spiritual way resurrect the dead all the time. And any teacher that elevates you higher from where you were before is resurrecting you too. I want to wish you all much love. Have yourselves a joyful day, and I will see you guys on Friday at 10 a.m. for Q&A for you guys. And again, much love, everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful and a joyful day.